It's another episode of the Pace and Space podcast. I'm Sam Oshtry alongside my good friend Sean Barnard. It's the NBA Cup. It's been Cup week, so it's just Cup action Tuesday, Wednesday. We have a few games tonight, the Saturday semifinals in Vegas, and then next week is the Tuesday, the meaningless Cup championship, where that game doesn't even count on the official records. So it's been Cup week, so we're going to talk a lot about the last two nights, what's been going on in the NBA Cup, previewing the semifinals on Saturday, some of the teams in the Cup, just kind of touch on them, what's been going on, kind of the quarter-way part of the season, and then we'll just talk about the Cup in general. But there's only one place to start, and it's the Oklahoma City Thunder, who are on a just ridiculous start to the season, 24-1 to start. Best start to a season through 25 games in NBA history, tying the 2017 Warriors. Best point differential in NBA history through 25 games. Best net rating in NBA history through 25 games. They're on pace to win 79 games right now, which is absolutely absurd. Sean, what are you seeing from the Thunder? What did you see last night? How ridiculous is this group?
Yeah, this is one of the best basketball teams that I've ever seen with my own two eyes, Sam Oshtry. That the way that they can just change a game, and primarily defensively, the way that they just set the tone defensively can absolutely dominate. They bring in like a little bit of almost like this Houston college attitude to the NBA. And on top of that, they have one of the most impressive individual scorers in NBA history in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who I honestly think has not gotten enough credit for how incredible this season has been. This is a dude who's coming off an MVP season, who won NBA Finals, who's checked all the boxes that you ask for in a superstar, and has leveled up his game another year. So I'm running out of words to describe how good this Thunder team is, but I'm at the stage where I think there's no doubt that they're going to break that Golden State Warriors record of that 73-9 regular season. They compete every single night like it's the NBA Finals, and you just don't get that from a team that is coming off a championship.
It's that last point is the most important because that's what's more absurd. Like the best teams in NBA history, the most talented teams, they take nights off in the NBA.
Yeah.
82-game season, it's a grind. Sometimes you have to go to Milwaukee for one night, then come back home, then fly across the country. There's going to be nights that you just take off. They just don't. They don't ever take a night off. They don't ever take a possession off. And for a team to be that young and hungry, and maybe when they're up and coming, a lot of guys who don't have a lot to prove, but to do that after you just won a championship and you're on a title defense and be that hungry every single night and that deep, like they play 11 guys deep. There's 11 guys on this roster averaging over 17 minutes a night. It's absurd. Like Shai comes out and it doesn't feel like there's a big drop off on either end. And like AJ Mitchell now is playing with Jalen Williams, and those two guys are an elite backcourt, it looks like. So it doesn't even matter who's on the floor for this team. They're so dominant. Just to put a full circle on last night, they beat the Suns without Devin Booker, sure, but still a good, feisty Suns team, 138-89. In 25 of the Thunder's games, only 3 of them have finished within 8 points. They are not just winning these games; they are dominating everybody. There's nobody in the league who's even close right now. And yeah, you can throw the caveat in that they have had the league's easiest schedule so far, which is true, and they have the hardest remaining schedule. But that doesn't matter. Like, it's the NBA. Anyone can beat anyone any given night, but no one has seemed to figure out the Thunder.
Yeah, 100% there. And you're right. It's every single night they compete. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has sat out 12 fourth quarters this year. That is nuts at the stage of the season. And that just speaks to the level that they're able to build these leads and no let up. Like even in like the garbage time last night, you're watching these guys play and it's like, these are real NBA players. These are not like the scrubs off the bench that are trying to prove things. These are the AJ Mitchells of the world, the Aaron Wiggins, the guys like that, Castleton, the Brendan Castle, whatever the dude's name is. It's like that dude can actually play. Like these aren't just scrubs right here. So the depth is insane. They've obviously built this up the right way. And by the way, the draft picks are not going anywhere anytime soon. We are in the reign of the Oklahoma City Thunder. This does feel like the start of a potential dynasty in my mind.
And I don't even know how to stop them because teams load up in zone against them to try to cut off these drives. What's up, Colby? How we doing?
Yeah.
Great to hear from you. Teams are trying to load up and cut off these drives. They're loading up in zone. I feel like teams play zone against the Thunder more than any other teams, just anecdotally from what I've been seeing. And it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander gets to his spots every single time down the floor, and it doesn't even seem like difficult for him. And they're, like we talked about, they're so deep. None of these games are even close. What the Thunder have really mastered, I feel like they were ahead of the curve as the NBA has valued possessions more than ever, they've been on this trend of efficiency and valuing possessions. You win the possession game, like you want to win the possession game because obviously you get more possessions, you get more opportunities to shoot, to score, to win games. And it's all about the possession game. But the Thunder value possessions at a higher rate than anybody. And what I mean by that is they are so relentless with their defensive ball pressure, where they value turnovers and create transition opportunities through those turnovers. They're number one in opponent turnover rate. And so that leads to a lot of easy opportunities offensively. And then on the flip, they have the second best turnover rate themselves, meaning they turn the ball over less than anybody. Only the Celtics have a better turnover rate. So when you take care of the ball that much and win the possession battle consistently, you're going to win games. And I just feel like there hasn't been any other team that's unlocked that formula. I mean, a lot of teams are valuing possessions with offensive rebounding and all these other things, but no one's unlocked the formula of absurdly aggressive ball pressure and creating turnovers and then not turning the ball over themselves. And mostly because they don't have the personnel to do it. Like you just can't play for the Thunder unless you're a two-way player. You can't. And that's why they traded Josh Giddey a couple of years ago. Like that was their identity. It's like Josh Giddey, he had the shooting problems too, but it was more so defensively. He wasn't a good defender, and they didn't trust him out there defensively. And they shipped him away for Alex Caruso, a two-way player. You have to be a two-way player to play for this team. And it's what they're doing is unprecedented. Like there's no way you watch this team, you're like, this team's the most talented team of all time. Like the 2017 Warriors.
They're good. They're really good.
yeah, but like I'm always going to take the 2017 and 18 Warriors with KD, like that talent. One of the best scorers ever, best shooting backcourt ever, one of the best modern defensive players ever in Draymond Green. Even like the Shaq Lakers, the Jordan Bulls, LeBron's Heat teams. This Thunder team is not more talented than any of these teams, but this is the best team I think I've ever seen. Not the best talent I've ever seen, the best team I've ever seen. And I'm at the point where I don't even see a way they don't win the championship.
Yeah, and I think you're right from like an individual talent standpoint. But the thing, and no, not a Knicks hoodie. I'm a fan of the league, so shout out to Rocky the Birds fan for chiming in. Would never be rocking a Knicks hoodie. I almost consider I hate that it's right up top here. I almost consider wiping off this logo in its entirety, but I didn't want to ruin the hoodie as a whole.
It is a bad look. I know,
but yes, I assure you this is the entire league on this sweatshirt right here. But nonetheless, appreciate the concern to bring it back to the Oklahoma City Thunder. I think you're right about the take like from an individual standpoint, like talent for talent. But when I think back to that Warriors team, that the prime Warriors, what was the most dominant about them? It was still their style of play, that it was this uniqueness in the movement, that third quarter wave where they would just absolutely swing a game and shoot the lights out there. There is like a similar and obviously very different style.
They do it defensively. That's what's so crazy about the Thunders. They lock in defensively.
Yeah, and you're right about that, but it is that defined style. This is how we're playing basketball on an every night basis, and I think that they deserve a bit more credit. And also, we've harped so much on the depth and how each of these guys do it. I don't want the conversation to get lost for just how great that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is, man. That this dude coming off a season, which again, he won MVP, he won finals MVP, led the team to champion, led the league in scoring at 32.7 points per game last year. So far this season, he's averaging 32.6 points, 6.5 assists, which is a career high right there, 4.6 rebounds. He's shooting 45.4% from beyond the three-point arc on 5 attempts per game. That is real volume there. I think he's grown as a playmaker. I mean, beyond just like the assist, obviously the highest of his career there does feel like a little bit more nuance in the passes that he's making and sort of playing people open to an extent here. I think SGA is joining a short list of some of the best players ever, and I don't think that there's been quite the conversation that represents that.
Here's a crazy stat for you. Maybe some trivia we'll throw in here too.
Okay.
There's only been 4 players in NBA history who've averaged 30 points or more for 4 consecutive seasons. Okay. Do you want to guess at the 4? One of them you've no chance of, but do you want to guess at the 4?
James Harden?
No. Some of these names, it was like 30 for 3, and then like 29, and then it was another 30 ball. Not anyone recent.
So Wilt Chamberlain's definitely one.
Yeah.
He's Kareem?
No.
Are they
Oscar
all
Robertson's one.
Okay, Oscar.
And the other one's the GOAT.
Michael Jordan?
Yeah.
Okay, he did. I was thinking he was going to end up a little short.
So Michael Jordan, Oscar Robertson, Wilt Chamberlain, and then Adrian Dantley, which is kind of just throws in a wrench in that question. But SGA is going to become the fifth to ever do it. And Giannis actually could become the fifth too, to average 30 straight for 4 straight seasons. We'll see if the eligible game requirements and how all that plays out. But he could, both those guys could become the fifth and sixth players to do it. But that's the type of rarefied air that SGA is in. And it's really absurd what he's doing, mostly because he doesn't have any weakness anymore. Like, playmaking wasn't necessarily his forte 2 years ago. He's developed a ton as a playmaker. His ability to manipulate the defense, make the right reads, read all types of layers of the defense is unbelievable now. And then 3-point shooting. Like, 3-point shooting was not like a weakness. He shot 37% from 3 last year, 35 the year before, but it wasn't a strength. You were going to live with SGA 3 balls. This year, he's shooting 45% from 3 on 5 attempts per game. So
real volume.
And it's ridiculous how much he's developed his 3 ball in a step back 3. He's over 50.
Yeah.
He's shooting over 50% on a step back 3 this year. So there's no way to guard this guy. And that's why like teams are throwing zone at him a lot to prevent him from getting to his spots. It doesn't matter. Like he's going to be talked about when his career is done as like one of these all-time great guards. He really is.
He's the best one-on-one scorer in the NBA right now, correct?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
I mean, Luka's still probably a better scorer to me.
They're different. They do it so differently, like stylistically. Like Shea, the thing that's fascinating is, I mean, Luka is obviously a guy who has size and has, like, I guess you can kind of lump them in the same category as both of them are like, it's craftiness is the way that they like do it. The body control, the kind of movement, like for SGA in particular, it is this like start-stop, this like slitheriness of the way he gets down to the lane, gets into his spots there, that it just is like, he's a player that I can't quite put my finger on. Like, I don't remember seeing another player quite like Shea Gilgeous-Alexander.
I know it's like people still don't really appreciate him and this team. 1, because Oklahoma City, not a big market. 2, because you don't really hear Shea like talk a lot. I mean, I think most of casual NBA fans didn't even know what he sounded like before last year's playoff run, and maybe still don't know what he sounds like. But because he's not like a bombastic, huge personality guy, but he deserves as much accolades and as much praise as any of these all-time great guards that have come along, like Harden, like Westbrook that we talked about constantly in the 2010s. He's better than these guys.
Yeah, no, I think he is. Like, I think he straight up is. Now, I have a Western Conference take for you right now as we sort of transition a little bit. That San Antonio Spurs game in the second. So the Spurs putting belt to ass on the Lakers pretty much straightforward without Victor Wembanyama, who, by the way, seems like he's returning probably next game, that it seems like he is right there on his return path here. It's not going to happen this year. I do think the Spurs are long-term the biggest threat to the Thunder in the Western Conference. I'm believing the way this team is built up. Those guards, all of them are the real deal, man.
I think it's a perfect segue because something I want to throw at you is watching the Thunder game last night and then transitioning to the Spurs-Lakers. You talk about the Giannis conversation and where might Giannis end up this year, and the Spurs are constantly being thrown around as a potential team. What's the package they could put together? But one thing I think you have to consider when you're like the Spurs or any of these teams with the Rockets, even with younger players, is if you bring in Giannis and get rid of like a Dylan Harper, Stephon Castle, or someone, you're shortening your timeline, and you're aligning it with the Thunder's timeline, which is a timeline of a team that, like we just talked about, maybe the best team as in totality of all time. So like, why? I think that has to be a consideration for any of these teams. Like, why would you shorten your timeline to align it with the Thunder's timeline where this team looks unbeatable? If you are a team like the Spurs or even the Rockets and you have these young pieces and you might really not compete for like 3 or 4 years as a true contender in the West, but you have these young pieces, cheap guys right now because they were recently drafted. Why would you ever break that up? Because you can kind of like give yourself, let the Thunder dominate for a couple of years, then who knows how their situation, even though they're so young still and unbelievable.
That's what I was going to say.
Talent, who knows how they play out? You'd rather have your guys hit their prime in like 3 to 4 years.
You're right in the overall point of this, but my pushback would be like the Thunder ain't going anywhere anytime soon, man. Like this,
true. But you just never know in the NBA. Like you never know when these guys become absurdly expensive. You have to pay certain guys.
True, but
you just never know in the NBA.
to that same point, you could trade for Giannis this year. You get to the postseason and SGA gets hurt, and all of a sudden that changes the entire construct of the Thunder. So, like, it's a tough risk analysis for what actually is the best pathway here. But I think if you are a team, you have to look internally of like, what is our best pathway here? And there's pros and cons to both of these sides. I don't think you can just roll over to the Thunder, even though they make it as easy as possible to think that is the right direction.
So then if you're the Spurs, would you trade for Giannis or would you stay pat?
I love all their guards, man. Like,
Same.
I have a really hard time. Like, Stephon Castle, who I've largely viewed as probably the piece that they likely move on from. I like Castle, but he's a unique player. That's a dude I want to go to war with. He's just relentless. The way that he attacks the basket, the way that he offensive rebounds for a guard is competitive and fiery defensively there. The way he gets in the paint and is able to kick to shooters there. And then you look at a guy like Dylan Harper, like the polish that he has at his age, just playing like a handful of games out of college after a one and done year at Rutgers there. He looks like a 10-year NBA vet, the way that he can like snake a pick and roll and get downhill and all these type of things. And De'Aaron Fox is a guy that I think in like the larger hierarchy of the league hasn't quite been given his proper flowers for how talented he is. I do see probably a world where he ends up kind of the odd man out, but they don't have to make that decision right now. I guess this does circle back to, I'm not making a midseason deal for Giannis if I'm the Spurs. I'm letting at least this season play out for sure.
Yeah, that's exactly where I am. This young core is, other than the Thunder, but like the Thunder are a young core. I mean, they've no one in the, only Alex Caruso in the rotation is over 28 years old, but Shea is 27 still, so he's not like super young. The Spurs have the best truly young core where like all their guys are under 22. Like this, they're going 8-3. Obviously beat the Lakers last night. We can talk about that game now. But this stretch has been without Wemby, and they're so much better offensively without Wemby, but so much worse defensively with Wemby. They've kind of changed how they play.
They're scoring like the 140s and like all the like,
and it's their backcourt of De'Aaron Fox, of Stephon Castle, of Dylan Harper. They are so fast. They're playing using speed to their advantage, getting out in transition. But Dylan Harper is unbelievable navigating the ball screen. He's such a good finisher, and he can get to the rim, but he's also such a good finisher around the rim. That's really rare for a rookie. Stephon Castle was the best player on the floor last night with 30 points, and that's saying something on a floor with Luka, LeBron, and Austin Reeves. But he was the best player on the floor last night. His ability to maneuver in the pick and roll, but him and Dylan Harper can both play off ball. They're constantly moving. It's this Spurs core, young core, when you talk about Dylan Harper, Stephon Castle, and Victor Wembanyama, is the best young core in the league to me. So it's like, I do not want to break that up. I'm not sacrificing that. I'm letting this team develop. Yeah, they're going to make the playoffs this year. They're going to probably be a first round out just based off how the matchups go.
Yeah.
Like, even if they're a 4-5 seed, we'll see. But whatever they are, they're not going past the second round. That's their ceiling. You're going to learn, take the playoff lumps with this team, develop over the next 3 years together, and then you can potentially compete for a championship after you take those playoff scars. But this, I'd rather develop with this young core than break it up for Giannis and shorten my timeline, which is competing with maybe the best team ever.
Yeah, and I've been pretty pro. I'm interested in pairing Giannis and Wemby at a crazy level.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to see it. Like,
be
but I
incredible.
don't think it would be smart from the Spurs perspective.
I think that is the right answer here. While we stick on like the young core conversation, the team that we haven't given any acknowledgement here, the Houston Rockets deserve at least a conversation in this overall outlook. Now, they're at like a slightly different stage. Şengün farther away in his progression, although I believe he's still like 24, 25 and on the younger side of things. Amin Thompson still coming out. Jabari Smith still developing here. And they obviously have Kevin Durant as sort of their finisher, that they did make that type of all-in push. But just looking at the young cores, where do the Rockets stand in that mix? Do you think there's a gap between them and the Spurs?
Yeah, there's a gap because
Şengün's
there's
really good. Şengün's really good.
There is. How old is Şengün?
I believe 24. Let me fact check myself.
I think the potential of what Wemby can be, 23. If he can stay healthy, 23. Yeah, that's ridiculous. But he's an All-NBA guy this year.
Yeah.
If the potential of what Wemby can be, if he can go 2 months of staying healthy, is so much greater than anybody else in the league that the Spurs deserve the benefit of the doubt. But when you talk about that, and that's why what the Rockets have done is so brilliant, because you have that young core of Şengün, Amin Thompson, of Reed Shepherd now is having an unbelievable year, but you've also paired them with the right vets, like bringing in KD, Adams, of course, and Steven Adams, and they're an absurdly big lineup, and like Jabari Smith is also kind of part of the young core where he's not old at all.
I like him too.
It kind of feels like he's been in the league for He's good. He's having a good year. Feels like he's been in the league for like 10 years for some reason. What year did he come out of Auburn? I don't even remember at this point.
He was the Paolo draft. It was so he's not long ago. 4 years.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. But regardless, there is a gap to me. There's a gap between the Spurs and that young core. But I also think that if you're looking at the Rockets and would we trade for a Giannis, I wouldn't break up the young core. I'm of the same mindset. I wouldn't break up the young core for the same reason. You're aligning your timeline with the Thunder, and we don't want to compete with the Thunder. And then also the question would be, the Rockets have picks to give up, but you probably have to give up with Sengun or Amen Thompson. And I heard some people on a podcast talking that I really respect and trust, and they were saying it wasn't even a question. You give up Sengun and pair him with Amen Thompson. And I don't agree with that at all.
Yeah,
I think it's Amen Thompson you give up. And I know everyone is obsessed with Amen Thompson. He's that good and he has so much potential. But offensively, Sengun is on a whole nother planet. And the stylistic pairing, how would him and Giannis work together? Could be questions about that, but because Sengun operates as the hub of an offense, but you can figure that out. Two great players like that, you just figure it out. I think Sengun's potential is so much higher than Amen Thompson. I would not feel comfortable getting rid of him.
It's tough because the good with Amen is like this dude could be one of the top 5 players in the NBA when it's all clicking. But there also is like the nuances of basketball. I think he is still kind of a work in progress, and that he's much more of an athlete than a pure basketball player at this stage of the game. Although I don't mean to fully discount him because he's miles improved in a lot of like the touch around the rim, reading a defense, all these type of things. The progress is absolutely there. Like they should be encouraged by everything that they've seen with him. Şengün's a guy that, I'm kind of skeptical of this archetype of player. That's not my cup of tea of like a guy that is
proofs in the pudding.
I mean, we're looking at outliers. Don't miss me with like Domantas Sabonis, who's a guy that is like everything wrong.
Yeah, but he's never figured out the shooting or rim protection.
Correct. And Şengün is a better defender. Like he's a passable defender. He's not elite. He's not a anchor of a defense, but they've kind of addressed that by having guys like Steven Adams and all the athleticism around
but he has figured out the shooting part. Like he's a real threat from 3 now. He's like a .40. He's bringing up the ball. Like Sabonis is he's really talented, but he has limited skill set that doesn't expand to the level of Jokic, Şengün, Derek Queen.
Yes. And should I give you my Derek Queen player comp that I came up with, by the way?
Yeah, I guess. Give it out.
Since we popped on the topic. He's Boris Diaw mixed with Karl Anthony Towns. Okay. Not an immediate shutdown.
I'm frozen.
Explain. All right. So the Cat stuff, he'll never be the shooter that Karl Anthony Towns is, but where I directly see it, they have the same like tendency as drivers, where that's an asset in Derek Queen's game. But both when I watch Queen do it and Cat, it's like I don't really understand how this works. It looks kind of awkward and flaily, but you know what? He makes things happen when he gets downhill. And then I see Diaw as like Queen strikes me more a bit Boris Diaw as far as like the pass people open. He kind of creates like. I mean, Jokic obviously does that to a crazy extent, but I don't think he's quite Jokic. He feels a little bit more, I don't want to say wing-like in his passing, but it's not as much like play out of the post as I sort of expected to be the case.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I mean, look, he's not even close to the shooter that Cat is. He's not even close. So, but I understand what you're saying on the drives where they're kind of like, they're not forceful drives. But the difference is I think Cat is sometimes avoiding contact on these drives, and he'll like bump in and like lean away, and he's a good finisher, but he's avoiding contact on these drives. Derek Queen just has elite footwork, and I think has a way better touch than Cat around the rim, and better footwork and just better balance as a whole, where I think Derek Queen's more like meticulous and methodical with his drives, where there's a purpose to it, and it's just better footwork. So I understand what you're saying. Like I'm just visualizing their driving right now, and I hear you. Also, he's a way better passer than Cat. Not even close to the vision, the playmaking, which I get where the Boris Diaw comes in. But Cat's never really operated, and Boris Diaw certainly never did, as like a hub where kind of like things can run through, and like you have a Sengun and guys are like cutting and doing all these off-ball screen actions around Derek Queen. So I get the hybrid. I kind of get what you're saying, but there's very big differences to each of those guys' games and Derek Queen's game.
Yeah, I mean, there's never going to be like a perfect, but the last time I was watching them, I forget which even game it was. I think it was I was watching the Warriors-Pelicans game is when this popped to mind, kind of watching him a little bit. It's going to be the best thing for him that they've wholeheartedly turned over the keys to the young guys here. We'll forget the fact that they might end up with the worst record in the league without their first-round pick, but nonetheless, to throw that.
Not Derek Queen's fault.
It is not, but he is forever. That is going to stick to him forever. Like,
it's kind of crazy because some of the people who are the most critical about that trade, I don't want to say coming around on it, but they're definitely softening up on how bad that trade was. And that's the most powerful thing Derek Queen has done in the NBA, is somehow have people convince themselves that that trade wasn't that bad.
Okay, you want Derek Queen or AJ DeBanster right now?
Derek Queen. I think
that's crazy. No, you don't mean that. You don't mean that.
Yes, I do. You've never seen AJ DeBanster play in the NBA.
I've seen him play in college, and he looked far more impressive than Derek Queen did in college. Big time. AJ DeBanster could be like this is where we disconnect on the Derek Queen conversation. I still don't see a world where Derek Queen is like the best player on a contending team. Like, and it's got to be graded on the rookie scale currently. But he's putting up these numbers on, what are they, 3-21, 3 and whatever their record is currently.
Yeah, 3-21. Who cares about the record? It's something like 3-22.
Well, at some point we're gonna care about.
I mean, look, there's been all-time great play. Like Cade was on the worst team in the NBA, and then you develop, and your team gets better around you, and you start leading your team. I don't care about what his team's record is rookie season.
Not right now, for sure. But my point being here, like, here's the other Derek Queen info. I was gonna be soft on the guy, but since we're gassing a little, do you think there's ever a world where he's a positive defender? Because I don't.
I don't look at players as positive defenders. I don't know how many times you have to have this conversation where I get so worked up. I don't care if you're a positive defender. I care if you are.
Well, Derek Queen doesn't care about defending.
I care if you are a positive net player. And we're going to talk about the Knicks in a little bit, and it's going to be a similar conversation. If you are a positive net player, a positive net team, it doesn't matter what you are as a defender, because if you're that great offensively, you bring that much value offensively, it offsets whatever negative defensive impact you have. And look, I do think a lot of defense is like, it's effort. It's also
he doesn't have that. He does not have
it's also a lot of like smarts, which is why like we can argue forever about how good of a defender Jokic is. But Jokic has become a much better defender where he can't move his feet, but he also knows what everything is happening on the court before the offensive players do. And that's allowed him to kind of get in the right spots and use his brain and basketball IQ to figure out how to be a good defender. I think Derek Queen's a very smart player. You saw that in college. That was one of the things. So I think that can kind of negate some, I lack lateral mobility and I'm not there, but I have great basketball IQ defensively. And those two things can kind of help you with your defense. But what I'll say about Derek Queen is he's unbelievable. And I think people are kind of coming around on the trade a little bit, because my whole argument was, and the trade is bad for sure. But my whole argument at the time was the Pelicans just got a top 5 player in this draft. And I think people are starting to realize that, which is why they're coming a little bit around on the trade. But why I've kind of even agreed with you that the trade was bad is because I thought the Pelicans were going to be better. So I thought they were sacrificing a late lottery pick this year where they were going to compete for a play-in spot for a top 5 player in the draft, which I was fine with. My calculation was wrong about how bad the Pelicans would be. And the fact, and now looking at it just in hindsight, and you should have known this at the time, who's going to put protections on a pick like that?
Yeah, like that's the craziest part.
The Hawks, 1 through 4, if you just want to do that, 1 through 7 to 8, they would have taken a protection. The Hawks would have done that trade if you put a 1 through 8 protection on it, let alone a 1 through 4. So he's not paying me money, but he's that good that he deserves all the praise. He should be paying me money, honestly.
You do not honestly mean you would take Derek Queen over AJ DeBanster. You do not believe that.
I do. Look, Derek Queen is proven that he's going to be a great NBA player for a long time.
He has not proven he's going to be a great NBA player yet.
All the skill sets, all the intangibles. That's why I loved him in the draft. Like, I get there's bias. Of course, there's Maryland bias that exists. But I wouldn't just do this blindly. I loved him in the draft because everyone is looking for that type of prototypical big. Like a Sengun type, like a Jokic type.
These are not prototypical bigs. Those are not prototypical bigs.
No, that's the big. They're so rare. But they're so rare in the NBA now. But that's it's not a prototypical big. I guess that's the wrong word. But just that's the big prototype, I guess, that every NBA front office is looking for. And Kevin Willard, Derek Queen's coach, said it last year, where he was like, if Derek Queen was a white European, he'd be the number 1 pick in the draft. And
I time out, because I've challenged this several times. When is the last white European that was drafted first overall, Sam Oshtry?
Well, no, that's not the point. It's more that now you've seen the track record of Sengun has worked out. Jokic has worked out. So now front offices are more like, oh, we want that type of guy. That's kind of like the sentiment of it.
I want the next time you flip on the Pelicans to just watch Derek Queen on the defensive end. And this is where we do get into culture stuff, because this is me directly challenging him from an effort level, because that is where I think he lacks defensively. Maybe he can figure it out defensively. I know I weigh that higher than you do. He does not care, and that is stuff that leaks in.
I never think it's a not care thing.
I don't think he cares defensively.
He's not. He's still getting conditioned. He's already, like, when you think about these rookies, and Cooper Flagg's been talking about this, hitting a wall. At this point in the season, these NBA rookies have played almost as many games as they would throughout a whole college season. So the conditioning is so different. Getting used to all the travel and how many games you're playing in a week is so different. He's still getting used to that. The skill set and the intangibles are there, and that's what you build off of. And that's as obvious as it's ever been. It was obvious to me out of college, but now it's obvious to the rest of the NBA world.
It's a win. This is a success so far, the rookie year for Derek Queen. But I would be cautious on how significant a victory laps that you do run this early, because there is a world where we're having Domantas Sabonis conversations about Derek Queen a couple years from now, if that's how things settle. And I like Sabonis. Sabonis is still a fine player, but there is a reason that there are the limitations there. Derek Queen is not.
Sabonis was an all-star, I think.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, like, that's not a worst. He's in an awful situation now, and he has limitations, but that's not exactly the worst ceiling to put on someone.
No, it's not. But if you're trading 2 first-round picks for a guy, I would like the ceiling to be a bit higher than that.
Fair.
Yeah.
Well, let's go into back to the games last night, because we were talking about the Spurs, and the Spurs beat down the Lakers. So let's flip it now. Where did you see it was a good measuring stick for the Lakers against the Spurs team without Wemby? And Lakers were awful defensively, just awful.
Yeah.
Transition defense, all of it. What did you see from the Lakers last night?
It feels like it, unfortunately, and the more talent that they collect with the Austin Reeves, with the Luka Doncic and LeBron James being like the top tier, it takes these guys having an absolute heater on an every night basis for them to win basketball games. And I'm not sure how sustainable that is. I think JJ Redick, I mean, he could have gotten technical. He could have got teased like from the opening minute of that game and several more throughout. Like, he's coaching as hard as he possibly can, but I just don't really see enough. Like, Marcus Smart, I thought was very good last night. He hit a bunch of shots, and looking back at the box score now, when you look at like where these numbers come from, we're talking about Luka dropping 35, Reeves with 15, and LeBron with 19. If that's what you're getting from those 3 guys, you're not going to win a lot of basketball games, and that's just how this team is designed. So I think they're very star dependent, and I think that is sort of a dangerous game to be played.
All right, so I want to pull this up because the Lakers defense has just been awful, and I can read you some numbers, but I did a whole film dive into the Lakers Spurs now and Lakers bad defense last night, and the Spurs kind of how they exploited it through a lot of actions, the Lakers bad defense. And it's on my Twitter. Go check it out. We can put it on YouTube as well. But this was the worst transition defensive possession I've seen all season by any team. Just watch this for a second. And this is an effort thing.
Luka complaining, I'm sure.
So Luka turns the ball over here. Yeah. He turns the ball over to Harrison Barnes here.
Yeah.
And Harrison Barnes immediately outlets it to De'Aaron Fox up the floor. Luka's flailing his arms up. He's mad about something. Marcus Smart's watching him flail. Jackson Hayes is looking somewhere, not sprinting back. The Spurs bring the ball up the floor. LeBron recovers, so they're not going to go all the way. And Austin Reeves is there. It's really a 2-on-2, and there's 17 seconds. So Mitch Johnson on the sideline is saying one shot, hold for one. And maybe that's what the Lakers are looking at, but this was so bad how they were jogging, walking. I don't even know what they were doing up the floor. But now it's 2-on-2, and you're here. And Luka Doncic is the only one who's crossed half court. We just saw Jackson Hayes almost at half court. What did he do? He just stopped. He stopped playing. He walked. Marcus Smart is still not close to back. And so the Spurs are going to hold for one, but Luka's the only one crossing half court behind these 2 Spurs. It's essentially a 4-on-2, and they just come in. This was like, let's just watch this whole thing. And this was the worst transition defense possession I've seen all season by any team. It was so bad. And this is just an effort thing. This is simply, look at him. Look at Jackson Hayes.
Jackson Hayes just stops.
This is an effort thing, and that was and that was kind of just shocking to see. I think from the Lakers' perspective, when JJ Redick is a guy that preaches effort more than anyone. But let me just read you some defensive numbers. The Lakers are 21st on defense, 24th in opponent field goal percentage, effective field goal percentage, 26th in opponent 3-point percentage. Teams are scoring 1.27 points per shot at the rim. And teams are scoring 63 or shooting 63% at the rim against them. That's in the 20th percentile, which ranks below average, one of the worst in the NBA. This defense is awful. And it doesn't matter how great you are offensively. You can have a all-time elite offense and be average defensively, maybe just a little bit above average defensively. If you're really, truly bad defensively, and the Lakers don't really have a choice but to be bad defensively because Austin Reeves, Luka Doncic, and LeBron James are probably the best offensive trio in the NBA. They also might be the worst defensive trio in the NBA. None of those guys can play defense. They don't have any perimeter resistance out there. The rim protection isn't good. This defense, they can't contain the ball. They constantly get blown by. The Spurs were running so many actions to kind of just target Luka, LeBron, Austin Reeves at certain points. Luka's constantly off ball watching defensively. It's going to be hard for this team to win no matter how great they are offensively, but it's going to be hard for them to win consistently, especially in the playoffs with this bad of a defense. And I don't even know what they do at this point to address it because of the personnel. You have to play those three guys a ton of minutes because they're that great offensively, but they're so bad defensively. And that's a problem. And Luka Doncic, when he was on that Mavs team that went to the finals, those wings that he had on the team were Derrick Jones Jr. and PJ Washington, who were the top perimeter defenders for those Mavs team and were good at containing the ball and on-ball stoppers. Lakers just don't have that this year to surround Luka with, and that's what Luka needs because of his defensive deficiencies. So to your point earlier, where if they don't have it offensively, where LeBron didn't have the best offensive night last night, Austin Reeves now 2 straight games where he just didn't have it offensively, inefficient. If that's going to happen consistently, they have no chance of winning any game. They have to be so elite offensively to keep pace with any team because of their defense. It's really bad. It's a problem for the Lakers.
Yeah, and I also note that highlight that you just played right before halftime. That's when the Lakers were like surging back into that game. Like, there was some momentum, so they're getting back into this. It's starting to become a contest, and for that to be sort of the effort level where things slide apart, that's pretty unacceptable as an identity. I will also declare the DeAndre Ayton honeymoon period officially over, that we are back in this is DeAndre Ayton, man. And that's always going to be the thing with him is in theory, you see it. Just if you're going to box up his skill set and sell it as this is your starting center, it makes sense. This guy has all the skills to be one of the better big men in the NBA, but the motor, the effort level is not consistently there enough. And I think we are hitting the stage of that season where it is in full effect.
Yeah, just to defend him, but I don't think it's been that bad.
So far, it has not. We're going to get there. I'm declaring this the start of the DeAndre Ayton. Wow, Lakers fans are going to turn on this guy.
It's possible. But if you have high expectations for him, then that's where it's all going to run wire. Like you just need to see the effort, number one. You want to see him rim run and catch lobs around the rim, which isn't really his thing, but finish around the rim. He's best true shooting percentage. I looked last week. I haven't looked this week, but best true shooting percentage of his career right now. So he's finishing around the rim, and you want to see him protect the rim defensively. If he's doing those things, then he serves his role because you don't need him to be this super talented skill set big man. So I haven't had a problem with DeAndre, and I think there's way bigger problems the Lakers have.
I think that's fair. To throw a hypothetical at you real quick, the playoffs start today. The Lakers are in it. How many deep does your rotation go if you're JJ Redick? What is that number currently on the Lakers roster?
So obviously the 5 starters, the 3 guys, Rui Hachimura, DeAndre Ayton, Marcus Smart is definitely a playoff rotation guy. Jake LaRavia is a playoff rotation guy.
Is he?
I think so. I mean, he can make open threes. He's a decent catch and shoot guy. It's like, who else are you playing? Like, you can't just go 6 guys. We saw what the Lakers did last year.
That's kind of where I was getting at.
Second half of a game. You can't do that, especially how old LeBron is. You can't.
That's kind of where I'm getting at, though, is I don't think they've solved that problem. Like, I don't know.
No, it's a good point.
I don't know if I trust Jake LaRavia in a playoff setting right now. Marcus Smart, you're even going to have to ride the highs and lows of what he's going to give you. And last night was a good Marcus Smart game. I will say defensively, I don't think he's got it anymore, man. And they need him to have it for this team to work based on all the other context of it. He felt like he got blown by a ton just trying to be the Marcus Smart on the perimeter of old, and that's not going to fly on this team. He has to be like a high-level perimeter defender.
He's better than the alternatives defensively on the perimeter, which is, of course, Luka and Austin Reeves or LeBron. So, like, you have to play him. Like, defense is better. At least their perimeter resistance is better when he's on the floor. Like, Jackson Hayes is going to have to play in the playoffs. As much as JJ Redick might not like him and Lakers fans don't like him,
he's so funny they're still doing this, too. Still doing the Jackson Hayes thing.
He got benched last year when they didn't have a center. Like, they were playing Rui at the 5 because of how much they didn't trust.
And they re-signed him.
but you're going to have to play him. Like, when DeAndre Ayton comes to the bench, especially against some of the size in the West, the Rockets, the Nuggets, the Wolves, if you run into them, the Spurs, when Wemby's back. So you're going to have to play Jackson Hayes. And then, like, I'm not a Gabe Vincent guy at all, but he's in and out of the rotation. I don't think he's very good. But to your point, it's not a very deep team at all.
Yeah, Gabe Vincent, Captain Cardio. Shout out to Cousin Nicky there.
True.
Yeah, there is a lot of that. I will say I was a Gabe Vincent believer. He absolutely was one of those Miami. Once he leaves, the magic is gone from him, and it's disappointing to me. I like Gabe Vincent. He was a stud for that Heat team during that one run. But yeah, he does not have it on a reliable basis whatsoever. So yeah, and by the way, all the teams in the Western Conference that you just mentioned, not only do I think that they would beat this Lakers team, they're gonna bully them, man. Like all these teams on the glass defensively, they're just like head and shoulders better. And it's disappointing that this is the outlook. Maybe this is why LeBron tried to cause his whole stink at the start of the year. But I just am not seeing.
Right, they're not contenders.
Yeah, Rich Paul, and that those words did carry a little bit of weight, having them put out there like that.
All right, so let's go. Before we actually go to the Eastern side of the NBA Cup, we got Spurs and we got Thunder in Vegas on Saturday night. Do you have a prediction to who's going to go to the NBA Cup final?
I do. I think the Thunder are going to. I think it's going to be fairly dominant, and I do think that they are going to win the whole thing as well. It feels like this matters to them, and if it matters to them, they are a better team than any other opponent can put on the floor. As far as like the Spurs matchup in particular here, I think that the Thunder are going to have success slowing them down, and Wemby being back would obviously change the calculation to an extent that they have a better chance defensively, but I think the Thunder are just going to swallow up that offense, put a little bit of a stop to this fast-paced style that they've been playing with in recent games, and I think the Thunder are just going to overwhelm them.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think Wemby's going to be on a minutes restriction if he does come back. Yeah. And like I said earlier, the Spurs offense is actually much worse with Wemby on the floor. They've been better with kind of just playing really fast and reinventing their style. So it'll be interesting to see how he kind of fits in the limited minutes he plays. But defensively, it certainly makes them much better. Maybe it causes the Thunder some problems, but there's just no way I could pick the Thunder against anybody. The Monstars, I would pick the Thunder against right now. They're that good. So give me the Thunder to win that game. I haven't even seen what the line is, but I assume Thunder are probably heavily favored because they've just been blowing everyone out. But also another point, something to watch. De'Aaron Fox and Wemby have only played 8 games together since that midseason trade last year. Those guys just have not gotten a lot of time on the floor together because one or the other has always been injured. So letting those guys gain chemistry and seeing how kind of that plays out if they're running stuff through Wemby, but then what does Dylan Harper do? Is Stephon Castle still going to get a lot of on-ball reps because he's been great? You don't want to take that away from him. Seeing how all these pieces mesh is going to be interesting when Wemby's back, given how good they've played. Does he just kind of fit in? Is you're not running a lot of stuff through him? That's going to be interesting, but I still think the Thunder win.
What would be your guess for the spread for this game if you had to pick?
8.5?
10.5.
Okay. Double digits,
and I think I'm laying it. I think I'm backing the Thunder to cover it.
Yeah. How could you not?
Mm-hmm.
All right, before we go to the Eastern side, let's just talk about the NBA Cup for a second. Yeah. Are you a Cup believer? Are you an NBA Cup guy? What's your prognosis of the Cup?
I'll say this, Sam. As a fan of basketball, as a fan of the NBA, I am trying to give this a fair shot to be like, this matters. The NBA Cup, it's a little added juice. I still give Adam Silver some credit for trying something different. It just doesn't do it for me. It just doesn't fire me up in the way that it's designed. I don't think it really fires the players up in the way it's designed here. I give them credit for trying something different, but at the end of the day, this is still December basketball, I feel, and I think that there's no changing that.
So what was the point of the NBA Cup? It was kind of that when you go back a couple seasons ago, why they invented it was that to give more meaning to regular season basketball games, maybe bring more fans into like this early season tournament style adopted from European soccer, and also to give players more incentive to play harder in regular season games. And when you look at it from that perspective, I think it's worked because the games are really competitive and the players seem like they really do care. I wouldn't say more, but they do care about the money and getting to Vegas. Why I'm not a Cup believer is because I think in general, over the last couple seasons, with all the parity and just how much talent there is in the NBA and the depth of teams, there's been this shift where we watch the regular season every single night.
Yeah.
There's so much effort and great games every single night where I don't notice the difference. Like I'm watching those Cup games last night and I don't notice the difference between that and another random Tuesday or Wednesday night on national television, like or League Pass games. I think the effort across the league has been so unbelievable and the basketball has been so high level that the Cup doesn't even do it. Cup night or not Cup night, quarterfinals or not, the basketball has been so great that the reason this was implemented in the first place isn't even a necessary reason anymore because the effort has been so great every single night from what I've seen. And so I don't like the cup because so based on that, you could say, all right, it doesn't really matter, whatever, just throw the cup in. The cup has seriously condensed the schedule for teams that make it. Like all these teams, like the Sixers, have off this entire week. They'll play tomorrow. They'll play Sunday.
Great,
yeah, it is, and it's great for a lot of these teams. You'll play Friday, you'll play Sunday, and then next weekend they're off all week, and they'll play Friday and Saturday. So they have 4 games in like 14 days, and 4 or 5 days of rest in between them. If you're a team, you'd rather not be in the cup. Like, that's the whole thing. I'm not saying teams are losing. They're not going to try to lose. But if I'm a fan of a team, like if I was the Knicks last night, I would want the Knicks to lose that game because now their schedule is going to be so condensed. They're going to be going crisscrossing the country, a ton of different games in a short amount of time, higher risk of injury, tired legs, while all these other teams, your competitors, have all this rest after playing 6 weeks of basketball. It's great for the teams that don't actually make the cup quarterfinals or the semifinals. So if the NBA really wants to like this to be a thing and incentivize teams even more than money, they have to somehow make it so switch the schedule around, maybe do the cup later in the season. So teams that don't make the cup aren't with an advantage because of how the rest they get. And I think that's a serious concern. And the other thing is like the 73rd game, 83rd game that these teams are going to play with whoever makes the championship on Tuesday. Thunder. It's so pointless. And like you look at the last 2 cup champions, it was the Bucks and then it was Lakers. Both teams were out in the first round. So like it means nothing other than the extra money the guys, players and coaches get. It really should mean nothing. I think the effort has been off the charts in the NBA where it's like, we don't even need the cup. Just get rid of the cup. I don't think it's going to go away, but it's been pretty pointless to me. So I'm not a cup guy.
Yeah, and by the way, I'm out on the floors. Let's get those floors back to normal hardwood. That is.
Yeah, the Lakers demanded they were back to normal yesterday.
Yeah, I did appreciate that, to be perfectly honest. And I didn't even think that was theirs wasn't particularly obnoxious. The Sixers have had bad ones in every season. Like some teams,
the super blue ones are the worst.
Yeah, the Timberwolves had like a neon green one that they were working with this year, which was brutal. It just from a enjoyment standpoint, like that is harmful to my eyes. And I'll also note like Adam Silver seems kind of committed to like this European influence type thing. I know you're not a soccer guy, Sam. I would not consider myself a soccer guy, but I did play soccer all through college and lived with guys who were diehard soccer fans. It drove me crazy trying to keep track of like, oh, this is the Caribou Cup. This is the Capital One Cup. This is the U.S. Open Cup. And it's like, let's not head down that path in the NBA. I like that they gave this a chance. I give Adam Silver some points for creativity here, but I don't want to hear any other variations of this. If they want to keep the cup rolling with just this being it, I'm okay with it. And I'll also note like, they can't move it back in the season because then the rest is even more valuable because at some extent you have to keep like the block open of times and schedule for that kind of thing. But I'm okay with leaving it how it is. I don't think this has been a glowing success by any means.
Yeah, I'm with you. Should we talk? My mind was racing when you said soccer. We got a good draw in the World Cup, right?
Well, yeah, I believe so. I wouldn't say I'm super qualified to speak on why that is.
I was gonna like talk soccer with you, like complete BS for 2 minutes, but I guess we don't even know. I can't even remember the countries that we got. I just remember everyone saying we got a great draw. So World Cup,
USA,
couple games in Philly too. I think
shout out Christian Pulisic.
Yeah, that's the only U.S. soccer player I know. And like Gio Reyna, what's his name?
Yeah. Got another. Right. Look at you, Sam Oshtry.
We know ball. Yeah.
Pride of Lancaster, Pennsylvania, Christian Pulisic.
Yes. And those 2, the Cavender twins. No, those are girls.
Aronson. Is that Brendan Aronson?
Who am I thinking of? These like 14 and 15-year-olds are soccer prodigies.
Oh, Kevin Sullivan, you're thinking of.
The Sullivan twins.
Yes.
Yeah, I was thinking of the Cavender.
I think they're brothers, not twins, but the Cavender twins, University of Miami, who dated Carson Beck.
Yes, I know the Cavender twins. The Sullivan brothers, whatever. One of them playing for a U.S. soccer team this year? Or is he too young? Because one of them is supposed to be like the best U.S. soccer player maybe ever.
Yeah, the stud one is the younger one, who I believe is 15. I will provide a little inside source from a buddy of mine who's plugged into the Union Academy. I wouldn't place my bet that this is the future of U.S. soccer. I don't mean to put any smut on that guy's name, but I've heard some
Yeah, but disparaging soccer kids now.
Well, I'm just saying I'm rooting for the guy, Pride of America. But I've heard not the best things from behind the scenes on that side of things. But I don't want to go deeper into it than that.
I think we should just become a soccer podcast.
Maybe not a bad audition right here.
pace and space is. I feel like that's probably a soccer principle too. All right, that's enough. Let's move. Let's move on to the East. We got the Magic, Knicks. These two teams have already played a few times this year.
Yeah.
Desmond Bane threw that ball at OG last week. Should we talk about that
Hilarious.
for a second? That was one of the funnier things I've seen. Desmond Bane, who's a dirty player. Like, he's done a lot this season, the last couple seasons. He's a dirty guy, a player, whatever you want to call it. But he picked the ball up so clearly in bounds. It's not like he was falling out, and just chucked it at OG's back. And it was one of the more unnecessary moves. And like, most guys would probably fight when you do that, but OG got in his face for a second, and then
he was confused.
Yeah, it would be too. It was like, when you watch the replay, it's like he wasn't even close to falling out of bounds. He's chucked it as back. But we got the Magic and the Knicks playing in the eastern side of the NBA Cup semifinals in Vegas. The Knicks beat the Raptors to get there. Raptors had lost 4 or 5 straight, but they've been without RJ Barrett, and Emmanuel quickly didn't play in that game too. So they really, when you're a team that's greater than the sum of its parts, like the Raptors have been, you really need all these guys to play. And RJ Barrett was such a huge part, and they've been struggling. Brandon Ingram was awesome in that game, but Jalen Brunson was even better. He finished with 35, but 20 in the first quarter, and the Knicks offense was just humming. So that's on one side. Then the Magic beat the Heat. So the Magic and Knicks are going to play in the Cup Finals. Any initial impressions of these two teams, how they stack up in the East, and just how this matchup's going to go on Saturday?
Yeah, I did want to pull up the Desmond Bane clip here, because I do think my favorite part of this has been a little bit lost. Is not only did he obviously do it, and let me play this right here.
Here's OG Anunoby.
Check out Tony Brothers' reaction. Just immediate. Yeah, you're right. Nope, that's magic ball. Like, absolutely.
First glance, I'll tell you, like, when I watched it just for the first time, I was like, oh, he's probably like falling out of bounds. It was a smart play. but it wasn't. When you rewatch it, it was not that at all.
Yeah. And I even love, like, there's some good lip reading out on this for Desmond Bane doing the whole, no, I was falling out of bounds. And Tony Brothers like, no, I just looked at it, dude. You were not whatsoever. So that did make me like laugh out loud the first time I saw it. I did appreciate Tony Brothers just being about it right away. Yep, nope, that's magic ball. And I will say, for the Desmond Bane dirty conversations, he's definitely a dude that plays with a chip on his shoulder. I think the Magic need that. I think a lot of teams need that, and I do think like it's necessary that he's bringing it, but he certainly has not made any friends. But if you're going to drop 37 points, as he did in that specific game right there, you live with that. And I do think in the same way that Dylan Brooks is having like an influence on this Suns team for being like a tone setter, the Magic sort of needed a guy to start things up, be a little bit of a tough dude out there. I think Bane's bringing that. So I'm seeing the Magic start to round into form. Still not all in on this team. I think this is a fairly equal matchup, but I'm starting to buy some stock back in the Magic after which was a pretty brutal start to the year.
I really like the Magic as a whole. And Desmond Bane, after starting the season shooting really poorly, he's come around and he's getting closer back to that 40% career three-point shooter that he is. But it's really weird, the thing with like Franz Wagner and Paolo Banchero, where they started playing their best when Paolo Banchero went down. And now Wagner's down. He avoided serious injuries, only going to miss 2 to 4 weeks. But now Banchero's trying to come back in the offense. And it's just like, Jalen Suggs has been playing awesome. Anthony Black has moved into the starting lineup, and those guys' absence, he's been great. Like, they have all the pieces. It's just the Banchero-Wagner mix has really been off for whatever reason. And each of those guys seems to flourish when the other one's not on the floor. And it seems like the Magic are eventually headed to having to move one.
Yeah.
But now they're going to be without Wagner, so maybe it's Paolo Banchero's time to shine. It's been really interesting to see how that kind of situation develops, but I like this Magic team has the pieces. Like, they're back to defending at a super high level. When you check it right now, they're 5th in defensive rating, and their offense is clicking again. They're making more threes. They're initiating with different guys, and Wagner was really the catalyst for this offense during that stretch before he went down when they were winning a lot of games. So I'm back in on this Magic team. Do I think they're going to win the East? No, but I think they're much better than they were last year because they're offensively, they have way more weapons and a bigger arsenal.
Yeah, I mean, they took the big swing this offseason by making the Desmond Bane trade. I do think you're right that it is going to be a breakup. And by the way, Franz, I thought was going to be down for the count this season. That I was worried that could be potentially season ending when that injury did ultimately occur. So kind of dodged a bullet that I believe 2 to 4 weeks is the timeline they're sitting with. So that is best case scenario based on how that looked in my mind. But I do think that the ultimate conclusion is they are going to have to, break things up and choose between the two of them. There's sort of a lot of undercurrent in that conversation, as I see a lot of Magic fans and just, NBA fans pushing for Franz Wagner being the better of the two options. I wholeheartedly disagree with that I would ride with Paolo if I got to pick between the two. But where are you at on that conversation?
It's tough. Like,
They're close.
Banchero's been so disappointing. His shot selection is still just not it. Like when he's jacking up, like he's taking guys in the post and instead of in the mid post, kind of instead of getting to the rim, bullying his way through the rim, or if double comes, passing out of a double, he's like shooting these fadeaway or just one dribble 15 to 17 footers. And it's just not the best shot selection. And I've always thought he's a good playmaker, but he's never made the leap as a passer and playmaker that I thought he would in the way that I really think Franz Wagner has. And I'm starting to I feel like it's a seesaw. I keep going back and forth which way I would lean one or the other. Like after this recent stretch, I feel like it's Franz, but Banchero has to show more. He just does, and this I think it's a really crucial stretch when Wagner's out to prove that he can do that. But I've been a little disappointed with him. And look, when we were doing top 10 rankings, top 10 MVP rankings before the season, I had Banchero in that mix. I thought he was going to be that. I think he was going to be the best player on the Mavs or this Magic team that gained Desmond Bane and are going to be a better offense. And he was going to be the guy. And it just hasn't been that. Injuries, whatever it is. I've been disappointed with him over the last year and a half, honestly.
Yeah, I think that's completely fair. And I think that's kind of the conversation that the Magic are likely having behind closed doors. Because there's no reason why he is not in this upper echelon of conversation for the best players in the league. And he has not taken that leap. I'll also note the Anthony Black love, which the guy who had a career high against the Sixers, I believe he dropped 37 against the Sixers. It was in that range. It was a career high by more than 10 points. His previous career high was 21 before that game right there. But I think we don't quite pay enough attention to these side of things. The Magic hired God Shamgod as their player developmental coach, who's been with the Sixers, who's been with the Mavericks, he's been around forever. It's a terrific name. We know the Shamgod move named after him right there. He has absolutely unlocked Anthony Black in a way that I did not think was possible from an on-ball creation standpoint. That was always a critique that I had directly of Anthony Black. And I stood up here with shout out to Ryan Beef Coyle, who loved Anthony Black coming out of college right there. I never saw the vision with him. He's a dude. He's a real part of this Magic team. He's playing the best basketball of his career, and I think that's only the start. But I do think that is a testament to the Magic paying attention to the developmental side of things. And shout to God Shamgod, which is an all-time name.
Yeah, that's a great pull. He's averaging 13 points per game this year, which is a career high. He's still only shooting 30% from three, which isn't good. And he's really never proven to be a good three-point shooter, which, again, the Magic need. Desmond Bane's getting it going, but they don't have a lot of shooting on this team. Jalen Suggs actually having a better shooting year, but we'll see. But they have a lot of pieces. They really do have a lot of pieces. Even if it's similar prototype players, they have a lot of pieces.
Yeah, and free Jace Richardson, by the way. I want to see a little more Jace. He really intrigues me.
Jett Howard, too. He doesn't play at all.
True.
I mean, Jace Richardson's a rookie. It's kind of one of these teams where you have to be a great defender to play, and there's not going to be a lot of room for rookies to play on a Jamal Mosley team.
Dude can shoot the rock, though.
He can. That's for sure. All right, let's go to the other side because the Magic's opponent is going to be the Knicks.
Yeah.
And I have an announcement to make.
Okay.
I consume a ton of NBA content, whether it's written work, great writers writing great things about the NBA, podcast. I mean, my podcast portfolio during the NBA season is ridiculous. TV stuff, all of it. I'm probably in the 99th percentile of NBA content consumption.
Okay.
Every single time I hear anyone talk about the East, whether it's the Magic or the Hawks or the Celtics or all these teams, everyone mentions every single time without fail, the smartest people that I've listened to. East is really open this year. Oh, the East is open this year. Oh, we might have with the way the East is shaking out, this team could get in. I have an announcement to make. Can everyone stop saying the East is open this year?
It is.
The East is not open this year. The East is the Knicks East. The East runs through New York. There is not a team in the East who can compete with the Knicks when fully healthy. The only way the Knicks do not make the NBA Finals is if one of their starters is out for an extended period of time. This Knicks team is so far and away more talented than any other team in the East. And yeah, the Pistons might give them a good series. The Magic might give them a good series. The Cavs would have been awful if they get completely healthy. They could give them a good series, even though I have serious questions about their toughness in a playoff series. This is the Knicks East. There's no other team that can compete with the Knicks in the East. Stop saying how open the East is. It's not open. The East runs through New York. This team is going to run away with the number one seed over this next couple months. And as long as they stay healthy, there's no way they don't make the NBA Finals. None.
There's absolutely a way. There's absolutely a way, Sam Oshtry. As for starters, What have the Knicks done that is more impressive than what the Detroit Pistons have done straight up this year? Because they've been better.
Okay,
they've been
how
a
about
better
2 years
team.
ago? They made the second round of the playoffs. You progress a year. You get some more talent. You develop. You make the court. You make the conference finals for the first time in 25 years. That's what development and progression looks like. Now they have the same exact core back for the second season. Those guys all played together in a much better, different offensive system that is more built to last in the playoffs. Then you make the finals. What have they more done? The Pistons have never won a playoff series. What kind of question is that?
What have they done this year that is more impressive? Because the Pistons have been a better basketball team.
I don't.
They are.
Okay, first
They
off,
have
not
been.
recently. The Pistons have fallen off a little bit. Not recently.
A little.
I don't really care about the regular season. Like right. Like if you're certain teams, and look, the Thunder are just an anomaly. But if
The
you're
Knicks
certain
have not
teams,
earned that right. They have not earned the I don't care about the regular season.
It's not okay. We're acting like they're bad. I mean, they're still going to be the number one seed in the East. But I'm saying if you're a new team with not a new team, but a new system and a new coach trying to implement a new system, you're going to figure it out as the year goes on. And that's kind of what they've done.
Was there a crazy amount of roster turnover? I forgot on the Detroit Pistons right here. Are they in brand new players or reintroducing a superstar? Because I think they were pretty damn
never
good
won a playoff series. Why would we give a team that's never won a playoff series any type of benefit of the doubt?
I'm saying objectively, the facts right now is they are 2 games better than the Knicks. I think from the basketball that I've consumed that they've been a better basketball team. And if the Knicks are not a team that neither one of these teams have earned. I'm not worried about the regular season, right? The
Knicks had because they were 2 games away from the NBA Finals and they've consistently won playoff series time and time again. They just have. They've earned that right. They absolutely have. It's championship or bust for the Knicks. It's not that way for the Pistons. The Pistons can win a playoff series and be a top seed in the East, and that's a really successful regular season. That's not the case for the Knicks.
I'm not declaring that the East
standard.
is not wide open, that it's the Pistons to win. You're declaring that it's the Knicks to win. And I think that is like the Knicks, they've been in the playoffs 3 consecutive years. They went to the conference finals last year. They bowed out in the conference semis the past 2 years. This isn't the Golden State Warriors right here, that they've taken the tangible steps. They have
okay, but like I'm not going to say that the thing I just said nobody should say the East is open, but the part of why it's the Knicks' East is because there's nobody on their level. Like the Nuggets or Rockets don't play in the East. Even the Lakers or Spurs don't play in the East. Like there's nobody close to the Knicks in terms of talent and team and production, all these things, which is why I'm saying it.
Jalen Duren is going to bully Karl-Anthony Towns.
Like when you look at net rating, it's not even like I don't care about the record. Net ratings mean more than record right now at this point of the year. The Knicks have an 8.6 net rating. The Pistons are 5.4. Like there's a sizable gap there between how good these teams are.
I do not think the sizable gap is fair. Cade Cunningham's the best player on the floor in that series.
He's not, but we could also, even if you want to give them an even matchup, we did this whole thing last year before the playoff series where, I thought it would be less games, but you also thought the Pistons were going to win. And we went through player by player, and Jalen Duren's jump has really, they're not going to play each other probably until Eastern Conference Finals if the Pistons make it there. But
he's going to bully Cat.
There's things you can do. You can put Josh Hart on him and kind of have Cat with a floater. I like when smalls kind of guard bigs in the playoffs. And Matt, we'll see. But Jalen Duren's jump is huge for sure. But still, you go player by player. The talent on this team, especially with the way Josh Hart is playing, who's probably the best role player in the league right now. He's shooting 45% from 3 since he moved into the starting lineup. He's been incredible. And that includes just his offense. Not everything he brings defensively. We'll see if that can continue. But this starting lineup is back to being really productive. So I just talent by talent, player by player, it's the Knicks are so much better than the Pistons and every other team.
The Knicks should feel this is our conference to win, and they should feel that way. I'm not ready to give it to them right now. That I don't think they've earned that. I don't think they've looked that convincing to me out of the early gates. They've had some ups and downs. They've dealt with injuries, as has every team. OG's been in and out. There's been some situations here. I do not think that we can be declaring right here on December 11th or whatever the case is that the Knicks are winning the Eastern Conference.
I'd said it before the year, but now I'm as more confident as ever. Seeing this group play together this season, I'm as confident as ever in seeing how bad the East is. So it's just the PSA. Like everyone just needs to shut up with the East is so open. Oh, pathway for the Hawks. If they trade for Anthony Davis, the East is open. No,
Hawks would give the Knicks a battle too. Hawks would give the Knicks a battle.
By the way, if you get Anthony Davis, we can have a conversation. Not right now. They're not even close.
my Eastern Conference pick coming into the season, the Boston Celtics. What happens when Jason Tatum steps back on the floor 2 months
That's a different conversation, but like that's a massive hypothetical. You still think it's going to happen? I still don't.
I'll even move it up, Sam Oshtry. I'm certain it's going to happen. There is zero doubt in my mind that Jason Tatum plays basketball this year.
I still don't think it will. And if he does, and he comes back right before the playoffs, I think that could hurt the Celtics. In a way, I do think it could, because you're not going to see a lot of normal Jason Tatum. Like we've talked about, your body recovers before the mind recovers, and it's going to be a weird role that he'd be inserted into, and it might mess up the Celtics as a whole if he comes back right for the playoffs. Not a lot of reps, regular season reps, where you're playing up and down, immediate go into an intense playoff atmosphere. Don't think that necessarily be a good thing for the Celtics. So, yeah, the Celtics are playing really good basketball, and that's kind of what I expected with the Joe Mazzulla coach team. And Jaylen Brown's having an all-NBA year. Peyton Pritchard, Derek White, they've all been incredible. Jordan Walsh even. But the Celtics are a classic, win a ton of regular season games, maybe a playoff series. They're not this currently constructed Celtics team. Still too many flaws.
Yeah, I mean, Jason Tatum would cover up a significant amount of them. I'll say that's the lead.
But I also think Jason Tatum we know, not Jason Tatum coming back right from an Achilles injury before the playoffs.
So for starters, I think the dude's wired to bounce back the way that very few guys are. That I think he's a maniac in the way that he goes at it. And I mean, the clips of him basically playing live basketball already is absurd. And I also want to say,
Tyrese Halliburton also said he was going to start playing one-on-one next week. That's all we saw of Jason Tatum. Like, yeah, it's not absurd to be on that recovery timeline, I don't think.
Agreed, which is why he's going to play basketball this year. And for the Tatum conversation, I also think regardless, it makes sense for him to play this year, because you're right in the sense that it's going to take a little bit for him to get back in the flow of things. If he does not come back this year, you're just adding, what is it, like 8 months without more basketball? Like, the dude needs to get the reps in. I think the Celtics are alive if he's on the floor and a part of that team.
I got to see it. Like, I got to see a player come back that soon from an Achilles injury and be themselves, or even, like, let's say 60%, 70% of himself. We've never seen it. Like, never.
I mean, Kevin Durant looks okay to me.
But he had a full year recovery and 18 months recovery.
You're right.
That's what I'm talking about. We've seen a lot of guys come back from Achilles, not that soon and not immediately into that type of intense atmosphere in the playoffs. That's what I'm worried about.
All fair. To stick on your Knicks point real quick. So since they've already won the Eastern Conference, if the Milwaukee Bucks give you a phone call and say, Giannis wants to come to New York, he only wants to be traded there, are you hanging up that phone?
No, of course not. I mean, a Brunson-Giannis pairing would do numbers. The package would probably be OG and Cat, Tyler Kolek, and they have a 2030 to give up and a 2030 second to give up.
Milwaukee shouldn't do that, man. Milwaukee should not.
Yeah, Milwaukee shouldn't do that. Milwaukee can get a much better package if Giannis opens up his options. But if you're the Knicks, you're doing that in 1 second. I mean, a Giannis Brunson pairing, that would be unbelievable. And that, I mean, they already should be the favorites, and they're East to win. But if they get Giannis, it's game over. The only reason he ends up a Knicks is if he demands to be a Knick. Because if he opens it up to a lot of teams, then I don't believe the Knicks can put the best package together. But if he says, I demand playing in New York, that's the only place I'll sign an extension, which we've seen players do in the past, then the Knicks can put together that package, and they should. Just to stay on the Giannis thing for a second, really weird situation. One, I don't know if a team will trade for him until he comes back from that calf injury and plays a little bit. Calf injuries are really dangerous these days. We just saw with Tyrese Halliburton. We saw with KD a few years back. Like, guys who had calf injuries, maybe not even came back early, but just came back. Those a lot of times lead to Achilles. So I think a team would want to see him play. Like, imagine trading for Giannis, comes back in a week and tears the Achilles. Like, that would
nightmare.
That would be awful for whatever team that happened to. And the other thing is, he hasn't requested anything. Like, everything has just been reported through Shams.
Yeah, he hasn't publicly.
Yeah, but there's been these reports of like he's talked to his teammates, and then Kuz last night said he didn't talk to me, and then like the Doc Rivers is saying we talk. He hasn't requested a trade.
No truth teller Doc Rivers right there.
Okay, but Giannis also had a report through Chris Haynes saying he was ready to run through a brick wall. He didn't say anything specifically. It was kind of just speaking vaguely. It's just kind of weird. Like, you kind of just know when a guy request a trade and it's just open and honest out there about it, and through his agency or his agent, and he puts these are the teams out there. It's kind of a weird divorce that seems inevitable. It's like, why are you delaying it? It's not gonna make the process any smoother or better for Milwaukee or the fans, because he's a loyal guy. I don't think he wants to do this. I think he just realizes he has to. It's the best thing for his career. But it's becoming a weird situation with this trade request.
Yeah, I mean, my read on that is it's Giannis still has respect for the Bucks and for Milwaukee, and they obviously have respect for Giannis still. Like, this is not a James Harden situation where like he's holding an organization hostage or vice versa. That I think that there is a behind the scenes like respect level that they kind of want to work with each other to make this work for both sides. Because frankly, I do think it is in the best interest of both sides for Giannis to be traded and for the organization to begin to rebuild a little bit. So I don't take too much weight into like the specific reporting once being out. That's sort of just how I view it. They're on the same page behind the scenes and trying to work through it together in a little bit more of a civil way than I think we usually see in these types of deals.
Yeah, that's fair. The only thing going back to the Knicks, I thought you were going to bring up the defensive thing, which we don't have to have a conversation about.
11th in
plenty
defensive
of Knicks
rating,
conversations, but they are 10th in defensive rating right now.
I had 11th on my screen.
Well, NBA.com stats. What do you use for stats?
I have Basketball Reference pulled up currently, but in the ballpark.
Whatever. Same thing, I guess. But regardless, that's a top 10 defense. I wouldn't expect. I thought this defense would be worse. Sometimes I watch them and they look even worse. And I still think there are defensive limitations, but this offense looks so much better this year than last year with the new system. Brunson playing off the ball more, so much more movement, these 0.5 decisions that they make. There's a lot of layers to this offense that there wasn't last year when it was really just Brunson dribbling a million times, shoot late in the shot clock. And I think that's going to help them in the playoffs, where I don't even care. It's one of these situations where I don't care what their defense is. As long as their defense is average, maybe even below average, the offensive is so good that it can offset the bad defensive performances, especially in the playoffs when you target Brunson and Cat even more, that this team is good enough not to win the championship against juggernauts in the West, but to easily make the playoffs or make the finals in the East.
Mitchell Robinson up to 20% from the free throw line, by the way.
I know. Worse than NBA history. if it keeps on tap. And I mean, that's bad.
My last Knicks thought here. Can we have Yabusele back? I want him. I know he's been horrible for the Knicks. I know he's gained a bunch of weight. I don't care. I'll take him in Philadelphia once again. Bring me back a little Yabu. I think we can get him back on the right track.
Yeah, he's been really bad. They also don't really even need him or play him when Mitch and Cat are both healthy. They really only go to him when like Mitch is out.
Take a gently used Eric Gordon, you know.
The excuse for him is he's played a lot of basketball.
Yeah.
Like 2 years ago, he played the Olympics, so he played all summer. That's how he got on the scene. Then played a ton for Philadelphia, a lot more minutes than he probably should have. But it was such a bad Philadelphia season, so he had to. And then he played Eurobasket this summer. So he's just not a lot of rest going right into the season. So maybe that's contributed to the weight game and not properly conditioned. But yeah, it's been disappointing signing for them, but it doesn't really matter for the Knicks perspective, honestly.
He just needs a Philly cheesesteak and he'll be right back in order right there. And I also shout out to him. He's very active.
Where does he even like serve at the Sixers team? The Sixers team is so deep when they're actually healthy. It's like
they are.
I don't know if they need him.
I mean, Trendon Watford like isn't healthy and really can't consistently. Don Barlow's been banged up, although he's been great.
I like Watford a lot too. If he can ever get back consistently playing.
He's a strange player. I mean, so is Yabusele. Like, I wouldn't call it a 1-for-1 replacement like that. But the other Yabu point, he's very active on Twitter. I did watch him dunk on some Knicks fan who said, "Get ready to learn China" when he was playing bad, and he just quote tweeted it with his Shanghai Sharks highlights, which I did appreciate that level of.
Wait, he played for the Shanghai Sharks?
He did, balled out there.
I didn't even know that. That's fun.
Yeah, he was trapped. The Sixers saved him, man. They brought him back. I think that we got to run this back a little bit.
Well, his dunk on LeBron. And that France run where he was
great the whole Olympics.
Yeah, not even that. That dunk is like what catapulted him to basketball fame in a way, but he was great that whole Olympic run.
Yeah, although shout out to Yabu said the Sixers showed interest the past offseason too. So who knows if how true that is or how serious they were. But I enjoyed the Gershon Yabusele experience in Philadelphia, even though it was a limited time.
It's fair. It's fair. All right, well, let's wrap up here. Thanks for listening, everybody. Great show today. Great show on a Thursday, December 11th. We'll be back next week on Tuesday. Same Tuesday, Thursday schedule that we're ripping throughout this entire month. We'll preview the NBA Cup Championship next Tuesday because that's when that's happening. So enjoy the Cup semifinals this weekend in Vegas. Get involved with the conversation. Whatever we've talked about, whatever you want us to talk about, you can leave us an email at paceandspaceshow@gmail.com or leave us a voicemail, 856-295-1602. Let us know what you want us to talk about. Let us know if you agree with us, you think we're idiots, whatever it is. We appreciate you listening. We'll talk to you next week.